As someone who went to church for years and years and years without ever reading the Bible or getting baptized, one of the things I wish I had was a friend who would just hand me one of these and tell me where to start. I wish I had someone explain to me the transformational power of this book. See, I had it all wrong. I thought this was just a history book. I thought this was really hard to read and that almost impossible. And it's just so intimidating how big it is. I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to make it through that book. And so I just avoided it for years. And that was my biggest mistake. In this video, I'm going to show you how to start reading this book and how to make it non-intimidating, even if you're really busy, even if you have a 5th grade reading level. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified every time I post a new video on spirituality and business. I'm Coach Tiffany Taylor, and I specialize in working with creators and business owners to share their message and monetize it online. Over the last 2 years, I took a deep dive into the Bible and spiritual warfare. And now I'm equipping you with the resources I wish I had sooner. So one of my favorite topics to talk about is how to build a personal relationship with God. And the way I would answer that question is the same way you build a relationship with anyone else. If you have coffee with someone that you just met and you want to build a relationship with them, you would sit down with them and the first thing you would probably do is ask them their story. You'd probably ask them questions about themselves. You'd probably tell them things about yourself. And that's exactly where I recommend starting when it comes to your relationship with God. If you truly want to build a relationship there, then you should start with learning who he is, what his character is, and learning his history. And what better way to do that than by reading his word? This is his love letter to you. This is his story. And, another question I'm asked often is how to increase discernment. The only way to tell the difference between the truth and a lie is to know the truth first. It's the only way to discern the difference between truth and counterfeit, truth and deception. Bank tellers, they need to study a real $100 bill with a magnifying glass. That way, when they see a counterfeit, they know it immediately. That is exactly what we are called to do with Scripture. We are called to know this intimately so we can catch a counterfeit a mile away. And that's something you won't be able to do by just being a spectator, by just listening to sermons and going to church. There truly is one way to do that, and it is right here by reading this book. Okay, so let me tell you my story of how I started reading this book. And this one's kind of funny. So a few years ago, I went on a few dates with a man who was Jewish. And we had the conversion conversation and asked if I'd be willing to convert. And I immediately knew in my spirit, no, but I couldn't give an answer why. And so I was in this really awkward position of realizing, wait a minute, I'm labeling myself a Christian, but I haven't even read the Bible. I actually don't know anything about the Bible or anything about the differences between Judaism and Christianity. Maybe if I'm going to label myself something, I need to go deeper. And so it was that conviction there that led me to start reading the Bible. Now, I didn't have anyone to ask. The person I asked told me to start with the KJV version, which, if you know, that's the hardest version to read. There's a lot of controversy on where to read, but here's what I believe. I believe that you're meant to understand what you're reading. Maybe not everything right away, but I felt like an absolute child, and I was very intimidated by this book. So what I Googled was, what is the lowest comprehension reading level Bible version? Okay, I wanted to know how to make this baby so that I would understand what's going on. And the answer to that is the NIV version, NIV. The NIV Bible is at a 9th grade reading level versus KJV would be at a collegiate reading level. I wanted to start super basic. So that's where I chose to start. And I was really surprised how easy it was to read through, actually. I thought it would be way harder, but NIV makes it really easy. That being said, this isn't a book that you just read through like a storybook. This is a book that you study, that you read over and over again. You need additional context in order to really understand what you're reading, and I'm going to teach you how to do that shortly. So first things first, buy the Bible, get the physical version, not online, not audio, get the physical version. I'll link below the one that I always recommend. I think it's like $4 or $5 to get it. And I recommend starting with the New Testament. Start with the Gospels. Why? It's a lot more relatable in the beginning to understand the context of what's happening in this book when you start with the New Testament. The New Testament is, I believe, only 130 or 150 pages, so it's quite small and short, and it gives you context for everything else that you're going to read after. So I recommend you start with the New Testament, start with the Gospel, finish the New Testament through, then read the whole Bible, start to finish, all the way in order, from Genesis to Revelation. If you read the New Testament first, you're going to have a lot more context for understanding the story of Jesus in the Old Testament. It's like Jesus pops up everywhere and everything starts to make sense. That's why I recommend doing it this way. You'll hold on a lot longer because you'll understand where you're going. So once you get your physical Bible, I also recommend getting Bible highlighters. There's so many gold nuggets in this book that you're going to want to return to, that you're going to pray on, that you're going to have questions about. So I recommend getting Bible highlighters because if you use a regular highlighter, the pages are quite thin and it just bleeds through. As you can see, I like to use tabs also to keep up with where I'm reading. So I would recommend that. Once you have all the physical things taken care of, I recommend downloading the YouVersion Bible app, which will help you pick a plan so that you can set a goal that you can commit to. So that way you're actually reading it through. Consistency is so important. Now, there are plans that will let you read the Bible in a year. There are plans that let you read the Bible in 6 months. And there are plans that will let you read the whole Bible in 60 days. I like to do everything hard and fast all at once. And I wanted to read the Bible in 60 days. So I read if I can read this thing in 60 days, you can do it too. It just depends on how much time you're willing to commit. I guarantee you, if you just cut your screen time down, you would have no problem reading the Bible in 60 days. That way you have the context of where to go next. So I highly recommend doing that. I'll link that plan that I used down below as well. And you can add me as a friend on the Bible app. I would love to see your highlights and share my notes with you as well. Okay, what's going to happen very quickly when you start reading the Bible is you're going to realize you need context. All of these words you've probably been saying in church or you hear other people saying, you probably don't know what they mean in the biblical context yet. So one of my favorite resources for studying the Bible is an app. It's a free app by Verse Ministries. I will link them down below as well. And what's so powerful is for most of the books of the Bible, they have verse-by-verse lectures. So think of it like a podcast. For every 10 or so lines, they do a deep dive explaining to you, what is it you're reading? What is the original root word in Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic? What does it mean? What is the historical context at the time? What is the geographic context at the time? It's going to pull all those pieces together for you, making it so much easier to understand. So I recommend doing that. If you don't like audio, they also have just outlines, bullet point outlines explaining exactly what you're reading. This has been so helpful for me as a new Christian in reading. Another thing I want to recommend to you is pray before you read the Bible. This is not just like any other book. This book reads you, and it's supernatural. It's a spiritual text. And so there's mysteries in this book. You'll only be able to see them if your spiritual eyes are open. So I'll put a prayer down below in the description as well. I recommend praying every time you read this book and ask God to reveal himself to you. Ask God to speak to you, and he will. He does. He shows up. It's so cool. So I highly recommend doing that too. That way you also get the revelation of what it is you're understanding. Your heart posture needs to be in the right place, and your spiritual eyes need to be open to truly get the revelation of how God is speaking to you. And if you're not already plugged into a community, I recommend joining a Bible study as well. There are so many free Bible studies on the internet and probably in person in your neighborhood too. I'm partnered with an organization called Wealthy Kingdom. They're a nonprofit whose mission is to bring ministry to the marketplace. And they have tons of free online Bible studies specifically for business leaders who want to bring ministry to the marketplace. So I'll link that below as well. You're welcome to join my Bible study if you're a woman, and they have plenty of men's groups as well. It's been a really cool experience leading one of those groups because it's challenged me to grow as a leader. I've learned so much, and the curriculums are all applicable to business leadership. So I've learned a lot about leadership through there as well, and it's just an incredible community to tap into. So I'll link that below too for you. So if you've been procrastinating on reading this text, or you think you're too busy, if you have just 30 minutes a day, this whole thing in 6 months. If you have an hour a day, you can read this whole thing in 90 days. And I really recommend diving in and then the second time going slower with it. That way you have all the context. But it's not too hard of a task. It's not too difficult to understand. If I can read this thing in 60 days, you can too. And another thing I hear often that I just want to touch on is, well, I get distracted. I have ADD. I have dyslexia. I dropped out of school in the 3rd grade or the 6th grade. These are real things I've heard. And it has been so incredible that when you ask God, help me read this, will you read this to me? He does. I've led people who've only gotten education to 3rd grade reading this in 60 days. Same thing in 6th grade, and they understand. I've watched God heal dyslexia through people reading the word directly. And when it comes to ADD, not only can that be healed as well, but this is incredibly therapeutic coming from someone who has ADD, because it challenges you to sit still with a book. And it actually rewires your mind to be present in the moment and to focus on discipline and consistency. So it's all pros and positives when you read this. I hope this video helped. Let me know in the comments below. Have you read the Bible before? The whole thing? When's the last time? And let me know, what would you like to see in my next video? I'm happy to be continuing to support and equip you. And I'm praying that your journey be a smoother one than mine was. By the way, are you a Kingdom content creator or business owner who is looking for a community that's going to help them share their testimony, monetize their online presence, and really build God's kingdom and bring ministry to the marketplace? I would love to talk with you because I have a new program called Call to Create. It's going to help creators just like you get bold in their faith and start showing up online, even if you don't like this whole speaking and social media thing. Click the link below to apply.